What is up, guys? We are back with another video in our Welfare vs. Wealth series. If you are not familiar with the series, we go around RuneScape testing different monsters and bosses with different tiered setups. We do a Welfare setup, typically the cheapest realistic option for the monster, a medium setup, and then a wealthy setup. We have already tested quite a few monsters and bosses, so if you're interested in those videos, go ahead and check them out. They are in the description. Today we are testing Brutal Black Dragons, and many of you have asked for this, so I'm excited I could finally make this video. We'll be testing 4 setups in this video as opposed to our typical 3 because I will be testing the Rune Crossbow, the Toxic Blowpipe, the Armadillo Crossbow, and the Dragon Hunter Crossbow. I am doing this because I know people are curious to see which one is the most worth it, and when we get to the medium setups you will see that the Blowpipe setup is similar in cost to the Armadillo Crossbow setup. We will test each setup for 1 hour, look at each setup's loot, and keep track of how many kills we average per setup per hour. At the end we will combine all of the loot and divide it by each setup's kills per hour to get the average amount of GP made per hour. Before we get into these setups, I want you guys to know my account stats. My account has 95 attack, 99 strength, 92 defense, 94 range, 70 prayer, 85 magic, and 98 hit points. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to see more of my content and to also help us reach our goal of 5k subs. Now, let's get started, starting with the Welfare setup. This is the Welfare setup. We're using the Snakeskin Bandana, the Ava's Assembler, the Amulet of Glory, 500 enchanted diamond bolts, the Rune Crossbow, Black D'hide Body and Chaps, the Book of Law, the Black D'hide Vams, Snakeskin boots, the Lumbridge Medium Diary Ring for an extra pair bonus, because in this setup we will not be using the Archer's Ring. In the inventory we have a 2-dose extended anti-fire potion, a 2-dose ranging potion, 2 prayer potions, and 2 lobsters in case we take damage from the Brutal Black Dragons. We also have a rune pouch with teleport to house runes, because we will be using our house to teleport to Kourend and to run to the dragons. You could also use the Xerix Talisman to get there and a Ring of Dueling to re-gear and bank if you do not have a player-owned house like me. This Welfare setup costs 230,000 GP without the Book of Law and cost 723,000 GP with the Book of Law. I already had the Book of Law, so the setup only cost me 238,000 GP, but for the sake of accuracy I will include it in the total cost. This cost counts all of the enchanted diamond bolts as well, which I doubt we will use all 500 of. The inventory will be the same inventory we use in each setup, but I imagine as we go up the tiers, the prayer pots will be used less and less. Now I will show you guys how I get there. Once I'm ready, I will go ahead and teleport to my house. Then I will use my Kourend portal teleport that I already have built in my house and teleport to Kourend. I will then investigate the statue. Then run west, drink my anti-fire potion in case a dragon attacks because there are a few brutal dragons that will attack you, as well as hellhounds. Then I will follow this path and run north to the Brutal Black Dragons. Drink my ranging potion, pray protect from magic, and start the timer and begin killing the dragons. When I was using the Welfare setup, I found that the kills went pretty slow, but I could still AFK for the most part because I have 70 prayer. I did use the prayer potions faster than I normally would with a better setup, but that makes sense because this is the Welfare setup. With each setup, I paid pretty close attention and I did not die, but you could AFK pretty hard at Brutal Black Dragons if you want to. After the hour was over, I teleported to Castle Wars, got all of the loot from the dragons. The total loot we got in 1 hour with our Welfare setup using the Rune Crossbow was 551k GP. With this Welfare setup, we were able to get 25 kills in the hour. Now I will continue to test the rest of these setups and see which one averages the most kills per hour and makes the most GP per hour. With the first medium setup, we start to see some major upgrades in the next tier for setups for Brutal Black Dragons. We have now upgraded the Black D'hide to Guthix God D'hide for some extra prayer bonuses. We have also upgraded our Glory to a Fury, our Book of Law to an Odium Ward for more range attack bonuses, the Armadillo Crossbow, which is by far the biggest upgrade by cost. We also upgraded to Barrows Gloves, the Archer's Ring Imbued, and God D'hide Boots. The total cost of this first medium setup is 38,860,000 GP, which is around 38 million GP more than the Welfare setup. Hopefully it is worth the cost and we get more money per hour. The inventory is the same, but I imagine with the 1 extra prayer bonus and the higher range attack bonuses, we will use less prayer potions. When I was using the medium setup with the Armadillo crossbow, I found that the kills were a little faster, but I did not feel a significant jump in speed. I also did find the Armadillo spec to be a little helpful, but it really didn't hit that often, so it didn't make a major difference. I did drink 1 to 2 sips less of prayer potions per trip, so sometimes I had to bank earlier than I normally would, so I wouldn't waste the prayer potion, which caused my inventory to not be as empty, so I felt like we were actually banking more than we normally would. After the hour, I collected the total loot again, and with the first medium setup, we made 675 KGP, and we averaged 26 kills in the hour. This means we only averaged 1 more kill per hour, which is honestly pretty surprising considering the cost of our upgrades. I thought we would have gotten at least 30 kills in this hour. Now time to test another medium setup, but with the blowpipe. With the blowpipe setup, we do have a few differences. We are now using the blowpipe, which I did load with adamant darts, a prayer blessing, and the necklace of anguish. The rest of the gear and the inventory is the same, and the total cost for this medium setup is 27,864,600 GP, but I do have 5,000 adamant darts and 5,000 Zulrah scales in the blowpipe, which brings our total cost to 29,309,600 GP. This is around 28 mil GP more than the welfare setup, and also costs about 9 million less than the Armadillo crossbow setup. When using the blowpipe, I definitely felt like the kills went faster, which is actually pretty nice because I've always been against using the blowpipe at Brutal Black Dragons because I feel like the cost of darts and scales is not worth it, but after the hour we'd be able to tell if it was worth it. After the hour was over, I got all of the loot and we made 965 KGP thanks to some dragon dart tip drops, and we also managed to get 34 kills in the hour. This is considerably more kills than the Armadillo medium setup, but at the end of the video when I do the calculations, I will consider the cost of bolts for the other setups and the dart and scales cost when determining the total cost of each setup. Remember, I will combine all of the loot and divide it by the total amount of all these setups kills, so I will be basing the money per hour off each setup's kills per hour, not the loot from each setup. Now time for the welfare setup. With the welfare setup, we have some major upgrades. We now have full Armadillo, the Dragon Hunter crossbow, which is definitely the best weapon to use at Brutal Black Dragons, other than the twisted bow of course. We also have the twisted buckler and the Pegasian boots. The rest is the same as the last setup, and the total cost of the welfare setup is 262,247,000 GP. Now this setup is considerably more money than any of the other setups, but the Dragon Hunter crossbow alone cost 110 mil GP. After the hour was over, the total loot we got was 880 KGP, and we also did 38 kills in the hour. This is the most kills we got per hour, which makes sense due to the gear and the crossbow upgrade. Now we will do some calculations to determine which setup is the most worth it based off of the results, but before we do that, please consider subscribing to the channel because 85% of you guys watching my videos are not subscribed. On a positive note, we have changed that from 90%, so thank you to everyone for subscribing. If you want to see more of my content, consider subscribing. If not, still love you. Now time for some calculations. After factoring the cost of supplies, the costs have changed. The ones with the bolts actually went down because I did not use all 500 enchanted diamond bolts, and the toxic blowpipe setup went down because we did not use all of the scales and darts. The welfare setup now costs 682,500 GP for an hour, and we got 25 kills. The medium setup with the Armadillo crossbow was 38,813,000 GP, and we got 26 kills. The medium setup with the blowpipe cost 28,214,600 GP, and we got 34 kills. The wealthy setup with the Dragon Hunter crossbow costs 262,200,000 GP, and we got 38 kills. If we add up all of the kills, which is 123, and add up all of the loot, which is around 3,073,000 GP, that means a Brutal Black Dragon kill is worth approximately 25k GP. After factoring in the cost of supplies per setup, we average 584,500 GP an hour at Brutal Black Dragons with the welfare setup. We average 603k GP an hour with the Armadillo crossbow setup, 500k GP an hour with the toxic blowpipe setup. If you're confused as to why it is so low, it is because it cost 350k GP in darts, scales, and supplies. And finally, the wealthy setup makes an average 903k GP an hour with the Dragon Hunter crossbow. This shows that there is a significant jump in money when using max ranging gear and the Dragon Hunter crossbow. I imagine if I had just upgraded the crossbow and used the same gear as the toxic blowpipe setup, the results will still have been pretty similar. I would highly recommend getting the Dragon Hunter crossbow if you want to camp Brutal Black Dragons for money, as it completely shreds the dragons. The welfare setup really isn't that different from the Armadillo crossbow setup, so don't worry too much if you can't afford an ACB yet. I'm happy to see that my advice has been right all along. The toxic blowpipe is good if you want to get more kills per hour, which is really only helpful for a Slayer task because you will only make 500k an hour, which is actually less than you would with a rune crossbow. I plan to make a Brutal Black Dragons guide at some point. If you're interested in that, let me know and I will make it happen in in the near future. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please leave a like. It really does help the channel out. And also leave a suggestion in the comments for what boss or monster you want to see in the next Welfare vs. Wealth video. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to continue to see my content and also help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Thanks guys for watching. Stay tuned for my next video.